Who's calling? We're live. Hello. Hi, Bernadette. Is that her calling?
No. Customer service. Hello, everyone. So, Bernadette, if you can see it.
Dottie said hello. Good.
Hi, Dodie. I think a couple of people are calling here in this office looking for a new link.
Okay. Much better. Yeah, maybe a little better.
Hi, Jeremy. Hi, Paul. Yeah, everybody's coming on now.
Okay.
Welcome to our bar side chat. Vincent drank his already. All right, we'll give it a few minutes. A few seconds. Hey, everybody.
Hello.
Well, hello, and welcome to EPG Media's industry launch for the Industry Intelligence products. Don't let the name scare you. It's surveys, and we're going to stress that throughout this call. I'm Mary Beth. This is Vincent.
Hello.
We have a lot of people out in our New York office, but I did want to invite Melissa to come over and say hello. She's our tech support editor. Cheers.
Hi, EPG.
Hey. So basically, we had a glitch. We were without internet.
Wow.
Yeah. All morning. And of course, it came back on after I sent the link out for the hotspot. So anyways, welcome. Thank you for your patience. We were all set to press on regardless, and it has taken care of itself. So what are we doing today? Today, we're going to launch the survey product or the industry intelligence products. And Vincent and I are here in Norwalk discussing the products, but really it's important that I acknowledge the whole team because we had insights from all across different brands. We had help. It wasn't just us. So I'm going to refer to my notes here, and I'm just going to go over the team members and what they brought to the table. We had Tim in boating. He worked with Dodie and Jill, our design intern, to come up with our awesome logo that Bernadette sent out to you. Peggy Tupper, obviously everybody knows Peggy, Sales for Green. Peggy was a wealth of information for the online survey. She's very successful selling them. And she also was just a great teammate to work with as far as her experiences with the podcast and keeping us directed. So thank you, Peggy. Tim, as I mentioned, worked on our awesome logo. He also brought over his experience and guidance from the podcast. Jenny, in Power Sports writer, she had editing expertise. She was invaluable in making our training manual more readable, more usable, and she also worked on the website. Speaking of the website, Chris Stanton, Joanne, they did the mapping. Talk a little bit about Joanne, obviously her audience development and her insights into our different audiences. But also, Joanne did a great job at keeping the team on task. When we wandered off somewhere, Joanne's like, wait, really, what the question was this? So we appreciate that. Dave McMahon, another team member from Content, Power Sports, he really brought a perspective on reaching audiences and engaging them. Vincent has the sales perspective. Vincent put together this training manual, and he'll be reviewing that later. But the training manual, it was based on what Andrew Esham and all his hard work with surveys through the years. And Andrew really kicked off the survey task force. He was our management lead. He put together a bunch of notes to get us started, head us right direction, and also, like Joanne, keep us on track and bring it back in. So having said all that, our agenda today, so thank you to the survey task force. It was all of you.
Yes, absolutely.
So we're going to talk a little bit about for the next task force about the journey of how we got here. I'm going to give a brief overview of the survey products. 5 survey products. I'm going to be saying that a lot. 5, don't get overwhelmed. And then Vincent is going to bring you through the training manual and how we're going to have ongoing support so we could go forward with these products. Okay, so having said all that, we have 5 surveys. And the way we got to that, very different from the podcast, which had to create a product, we actually realized we already have products.
Yep,
And we're selling them across the brands. It's just that one brand doesn't necessarily know what's available from the other brand. So our job really was to catalog, organize, figure out how we bring it to you so you could bring it to your market and your clients. And ultimately, of course, increase revenues. So having said that, I'm going to talk about the 5 survey types, just briefly, top line. I'm going to talk about how the different groups have been utilizing them. And Vincent will go into a little more detail. If you have questions, we'll keep looking at the chat, and answer them as they come up. We'll read the question back and answer them, but we'll also have time for Q&A at the end of our presentations, if you will. Okay.
Live stream.
Our live stream. No, we'll still be live. Okay. So anyways, first off, the 5 survey types. We have online surveys, which you basically email out to a prospective audience. We have web surveys. We have digital edition surveys. We have in-store mystery shops, which is all that is survey. Again, survey, where we go in and we do a visual survey. We have custom surveys that are part of that group, where the client directs us on what questions to use, or we have a syndicated service in the beverage that we've been doing for a couple of decades now, where we go out on a quarterly basis to 1,000 stores and we look at brands and their merchandising and stocking and their pricing, and we record that information and we sell it back to the various clients. And finally, we have our engagement type surveys, the 5th type of surveys. The engagement surveys, just think about the name. You're engaging with another person. You're talking to them either on the phone or it's a mall intercept, if you know that term. So those are the 5 types. I'm going to start off with the online. Again, my goal here is to get you familiar with the surveys and to let you know. Oh, somebody's saying hello. So the online survey. So the online survey, really we're going to take advantage of our audiences. I'm going to refer to my notes here. So we have these audiences, these email addresses, these contact names, and they are of great value, and we can be sharing them with our clients and helping them get questions answered and business concerns addressed by sending these surveys out to field.
Absolutely.
So I'm just going to read some numbers, and this was provided by Joanne. In the beverage universe, we have 243,000 names. Power sports, 245,000 names. Horticulture, 182,000 names. Dealers like boating, power sports, outdoor sports, fuel, we have 35,000 names. And in the fuels universe, we have 33,000 names. So we want to take advantage of this great resource. I'm going to use 2 examples of online surveys that we've conducted. In the beverage group, I recently, with my team, Marina and Melissa, we did a survey, I think Mary mentioned it in the last meeting, where we went to bartenders and bar managers using the Cheers and the Better Bartending list to get content for our handbook. We asked 15 questions. We offered an incentive. They could win a $100 gift card. We went out 4 times asking people, and we had a strong response rate. We're hoping for a stronger one next year, but we got some really great insights, actually a little bit better than when we went to the bar, did this study as an in-store, because people had time and they would put down anecdotal information, which was really valuable to us. talk to you. Now that was to gain content. This is our online to gain content. The other survey was more direct revenue source, and that was Peggy's survey with the ARI group. I hope I got that right. Anyways, the ARI group provides marketing services to dealerships. So they had a survey. They worked with Peggy. I think they sent it out to about 3,000 people. There's maybe 10 questions. They went out. They had good response. 12%, I think they got back, somewhere between 8 and 12%. Joanne and Peggy put together the responses from our platform that we were using, sent it back to ARI, and ARI actually put together a beautiful white paper saying what was going on as far as digital use in the dealership space. And then they went back to Peggy and said, Peggy, we would like to, or Peggy went to them more likely, we would like to e-blast this out to your lists so they could see that, what the results are of this survey. So it was like a double revenue stream, if you will. So great job, Peggy. Now we're going to go on the next type of survey. So that's the first type. You have the online survey email blasts. We want to take advantages of those broad audiences. The second type, we have the web, second and third type, the web and the digital editions. Now the web and the digital editions, if you ever go onto a website and a little question pops up, would you like to take us? That's what we're talking about. These are great tools. I know that the other brands, I think it was Power Sports, have used these to gain content, ask questions. I know we use them sometimes to gain new subscribers, but we could also do this as something that's monetized. So if somebody wants to reach a dealership, say in the Northeast, you could do that. You could put those parameters in place using IP addresses, and that's all where the question will pop up. Similar type of thing for the digital editions. As these editions are going out, someone can have an ad and they could ask questions, and then we get the results and provide them back to the client. So those are the main digital surveys, if you will. The next type of survey is something that I've been working on, and that's the in-store mystery shop. We call them track services or syndicated, but please know all it is a visual survey. So one of the surveys that we do is a survey where we go in, as I mentioned before, 4 times a year, and we go into 1,000 outlets and we observe brands. A client that we have right now, or ongoing client, is Bacardi. So I would have my team of people look at Bacardi, Bacardi Oakheart, Bacardi flavors, Bacardi competitors, Stoli, etc. And we would look at, is it stocked? How many bottles are stocked? What is the pricing? What is the promoted price? And shelf height, how it's merchandised. We've been doing this study on and on for the past 20 plus years. The other part of the in-store survey is that you can, just checking to see if that was a question, or if we need to speak up, okay. The other type of survey that you could do is a custom. So I'm going to give you an example from beverage, which is very different than going in and looking at brands. We did a custom study for Castle Brands. Castle Brands is the owner of Gosling's Dark Rum, and their drink, if you're not familiar, is a dark and stormy, quite delicious ginger beer in Gosling's Dark Rum. This is actually a trademark brand, and it is often infringed upon. So I worked with the marketing team there. They supplied us with a list of outlets in Manhattan, and we went in and we checked on the menu. So it was an observation and interview study. We checked on the menu to see if the drink was listed, if it was listed with Gosling's rum, and goodness gracious, we don't like this, but if it was listed with another brand of rum, which sometimes it was, and then we'd actually order the drink, and we'd order a dark and stormy and see what was poured. And then this information was compiled, sent back to the client, and because it was custom study, it's proprietary information, and they own that information. And then finally, in my overview, is the engagement surveys. So With the engagement surveys, again, you're going to talk to somebody face to face, you're going to call them on the phone. It's something that it is a direct. I'll give you an example of a telephone survey I did with my colleagues Lyndon and Robin down in Fort Jervis. Shout out, ladies. And anyways, it was for a brand ambassador program. Now, the brand ambassador program, if you're not familiar, is actually people that are hired in my industry, or the beverage industry, that they go out and they promote the brand and they're responsible for trainings, etc. So we contacted both bars and restaurants and retailers checking on the effectiveness of a brand ambassador program. So we asked questions. We did this around the country. We asked questions with this telephone survey. Have you been visited by a brand ambassador? If you were visited, when was the last time you were visited? Did they ask you when there was or did they educate you on? And there was a series of specific questions. And then we were able to take that data, put it together, look at different views. This is what's going on in the Northeast. This is what's going on in this, the Southeast versus the Southwest. We were also to drill down to the market level. So these studies can be translated across other brands. One of the things I'm thinking about for an in-store survey, Vincent and I were talking about it. I'm thinking about maybe for a new motorcycle helmet or something like that. Is there a promotion that's going on? Maybe a dealership wants to know, is it the display promotional piece I put together cut out of insert famous motorcycle driver, rider. Is that displayed prominently? Is it, I want it in the front of the store? Is it in the front of the store? Are the helmets around it? Is the video that is supposed to be playing next to it, is it playing? Is it happening? Right. So that might be an example of how it might translate. So that's a lot of information, okay? We got these 5 types of surveys, again, 5 types of surveys. And thank you, Mary Beth, but how do I access this? How do I take this knowledge and how do I get it to my customers? And how do I monetize it? So basically, we have a 3-pronged approach. We have the visual aids, which would be the website, which would be the selling sheet, which I know it is in our engagement guide. It should be in the other engagement kits.
Well.
Yeah, or it will be.
Yeah.
And then we have we have a training manual, which Vincent, and Andrew, and Jenny worked on. Well, actually, the whole team looked on it, but you guys were the core. And with that training manual, we're also going to have a training series that's going to be ongoing that Vincent will talk to you a little bit about. But the third, and I think the most important is, or one of the, it's all important, but a third is your colleagues. So I would be a resource for the mystery shops or the in-store visual surveys, the mystery shops, the custom studies, the in-outlet custom studies, and also the engagement surveys. Joanne and Peggy would be online and web, and Karen, of course. Dave has also offered up to be part of that. That's all included in the training manual. So we're pretty excited. This is a launch, which means it's the start. So we're going to continue our efforts to educate you, and I think we have a great opportunity here. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to my colleague Vincent to talk a little bit about the training manual, go a little more in depth. I see people sending questions.
No, Joanne, just let everybody know to check out the boating industry to see an example of a quick 2-question survey. Which
oh, okay.
we'll
Thank you, Joanne.
Yes, thank you.
So can you say that again, Vincent? I'm sorry.
We just said to go check out boatingindustry.com to see an example of a quick 2-question survey, which I'm
There
going to
you
go
go.
into detail with regards to what Mary Beth just said in regards to the different
Thanks,
types
Joanne.
of surveys. But this is the training manual here. Everybody's going to get one. We don't have the new logo, but as part of the survey task,
do have it.
we created a logo. It's not
Yeah.
on here yet, but it will be. We also have a website that's hosted on the EPG site that is accessed from all the other websites. I know on still looking into where it's going to be.
Yeah, we haven't
access
hashed that all
hosted.
out, but there will be a link. on
But
the
it is
website.
coming. So we have a table of contents that is going to take everybody through a little overview, the different types of surveys, really how to sell them, and so everybody's really trained on what they all are, and what is incorporated of them. So really to start, what is a survey? Well, the definition is to examine as to the condition, situation, or value, really to appraise. In order to collect data for the analysis of some aspect of a group or an area, to view or consider comprehensively, inspect, scrutinize. And then the noun definition is the act or an instance of surveying, such as a poll. As Mary Beth's mentioned before, we always talk about the mall intercept. People come on, what can I give? Here's some questions for you. Please answer them for me. All right, really, why sell surveys? Again, we've been doing this for 35 years in beverage. On the other side of the group, I'm not sure exactly how long it's been going on, but they've been doing web
A
surveys for
lot for
quite some time.
content.
So we really
Longer
pulled
than
everything all
expected.
together because, really, why sell a survey? Because we're offering customers not only to increase your revenue on the sales team and your bottom line, but it also offers your customers important information for growing their businesses and their bottom line. I mean, you're adding value. You can deliver this value to your customers by selling information that helps them and their businesses. Therefore, they're more sought after when you're planning the next year's thing. We really want to, create value and really create comprehensive packages for your customers, not only through advertising, but also through surveys and content and everything like that we're doing.
Full package.
So advantages to selling surveys, your customers have a demand for information. And you hear about everything that's going on with Facebook and data and everything like that. I mean, data is important and it's value. And the more data that our customers have, the better they can really plan their business needs out. So this is, you're offering it to them. And they're probably already likely purchasing it from another source. So why not bring it in-house and add more revenue to our bottom line?
And the experts.
And the experts in the
It's the
industries, right?
experts.
Right. And that's the whole thing that we're going to really talk more about is our audience. I mean, customers really want to have access to our audience, and hopefully they will pay for it. So our offering is to deliver them data in a value package along with advertising, promotional events, and really create them we're creating a year-long commitment from our customers. So it's not just selling one-off advertisements or having them sponsor a promotional event of ours. It's putting a full year-long package for them together to deliver value. And surveys do that, not only in aspects to, giving them discounts on other things that they buy from us, but also giving them the information that they're looking for on the competitive side. Your customers want local market knowledge. They want to know what's going out there. And one thing that we provide is really third-party, non-biased information. We have the resources. We've been doing this for so long. We have the resources really to provide them. So selling surveys, we really put together some key words to listen for. Brand or product visibility. If you're talking to one of your customers or you hear, what's this brand doing or how's our product look out there in the marketplace? That's one of the key words you have to listen to and be like, listen, well, you really want to know?
Let me help you.
We could tell you. Competitive pricing. What is the competition priced out there? Yeah, we have the access and the availability to get them that information. Local market knowledge. Why isn't my product performing well in there? Well, let's go out and find it. Let's ask the questions. Let's go into in-person audits and really find out what's going on in the marketplace as far as either a certain geographical region or industry as a whole. And then, what's the customer reaction to this, or what's an assessment to a promotion that we're running? Again, those are the keywords that you really want to make sure you're listening for. And if you hear that, that's an opportunity to really present them a survey, whether it be through our web survey, in-person survey, telephone surveys. And so what sets us apart from the others? Again, there are other services out there. As we were talking about earlier, SurveyMonkey, they have a database of just emails that they just blasted out to. Really what sets us apart is our audience.
Targeted audience.
Our targeted audience. Not only are we a third-party provider and non-biased, We want our customers to have real life fact-based information for them to determine their business needs. And our audience is a good mix of small, medium, and large businesses. And it's businesses that are established and are good customers. So we're the market leader in beverage and power sports. So we have the experience, audience, and the ability to create value for our customers. One thing that we've really talked about is we're in the beverage and power sports industry. That's kind of our expertise. But our audience is so vast, between small businesses, between beverage retailers, on-premise restaurants and bars in the beverage world, or dealerships, or in small businesses within the power sport group, that we have a lot of opportunities to sell surveys to non-endemic customers, is what we call them, which are either banking or leasing. People who want access to our customer base, point of sale or point of purchase manufacturers, people who create those display pieces that you see at the counters or on floor stands, energy, cable, or ISP providers, and then really anyone who wants to cater to a small business. We added it all up. It's almost 750,000 database of emails between all of our products in the beverage, boating, and power sports industry and horticulture. So a vast audience of businessmen, small businesses across a lot of different industries here. So going into the training manual, we have our custom email surveys. So we have the ability, and these ones are mostly for the quick turnaround time with custom email. You send out an email, the client really puts together whatever questions that they want to ask. So it's really an email blast that can be sent out to our customer base and provide the information that you want in a timely manner. Again, we've been doing this on the other side for however many years we've been doing it, but the turnaround time is quick. Full reports, depending on when you sell them and what they're looking for, we're obviously going to deliver as best as we can on our customers' needs.
An average would be on an email survey 2 to 3 weeks.
2 to 3 weeks,
depending on the scope, of course. Once the survey is completed.
Yeah, we put that in here. It's usually a 2-week program. The timing may vary depending on what the customer wants. At the end of the day, we're going to cater to the customer needs because we're monetizing this. And with multiple emails delivered to provide optimal results. A number of questions can vary. I guess one of the examples that we talked about as we went through this 2-month process or so was they have an email database of 2,500, and in the past, they've gotten a response rate of 8 to 12%, which is really high in industry standards. Usually, it's anywhere from 2 to 4%. So we double, if not triple, the industry standards. So that's something that when we go through the training, we need to stress to our customers is that we have an above industry response rate historically. And then incentives can be available for that, paid by the customer or supplier to enhance this response rate. So an example of that, the completion of a survey, the enter of the survey would get into a sweepstakes to get a gift card or prizes or something like that. So pricings are always going to vary. We didn't put any pricing on this, and that's going to be determined obviously by whatever department.
The scope of the survey.
Right.
But as an example, Peggy's survey, I think it was 1,500, maybe 2,000, 2,500, I think it was, and the cost, depending on how many questions and the analysis, was 1,500.
Yeah.
We've done surveys. We did a very large on and off-premise custom survey for Diageo that was $160,000, but it was, over 5,000 accounts that were visited and
a lot of
40 brands for spirits, 20 for wine, whatever. So it really, the pricing is going to vary, but we would work with you on that. We'd work with your client on that.
And one thing with our email surveys, the custom email surveys, they could be geo-targeted. So if your client wants to know what's going on in the Pacific Northwest, we could, based on the IP addresses of emails, we could specifically target the customer base out there. So it refers to the practice of delivering different content. Geo-targeting, refers to the practice of delivering different content to an email database or website user based on their geographic location. Then we go through it into our website surveys, where the survey, as was it Joanne mentioned before, if you check out boatingindustry.com, it's an example of it's a quick two-question survey. So again, we've been doing this across the different industries for quite some time now. We could target customers or suppliers looking to specifically target traffic on our websites, both between the beverage group and the power sports. And they can set up survey ads with links to either their own site or just do a quick couple question survey that's hosted on our site. And again, directed by our customers, whatever the questions that they're looking, whatever data they want to collect would be prepared by the client. So again, with this, the turnaround time could be quick. Full reports, again, usually depending on however long they want to either host a survey or have the link set up for their site. Pop-ups are available where, as we were talking about before, you go onto a website, would you like to take a couple survey after this? We have the capabilities of doing that as well. The client will determine the websites to place the survey links on. Right now, we don't have expected response rates, but as we get some historical information, we'll let you know. And again, incentives could be available for this type of survey as well. And geo-targeting is available for our website surveys. And again, as we go through the training, I think we're going to hopefully put together training as you go along. So
Training
it's not,
materials.
yeah, well, not just the training materials, but it's not
Examples.
But we'll also have we'll group them together, so you're not just getting everything thrown at you all at once. We'll have a series of.
It's going
different
to be a
trainings.
series,
Yes,
exactly, where we concentrate
on
on your
specific-
industry and how the surveys will fit in.
Exactly. Whether we do either online or website in one, then mystery shopping or in person in another. So
We'll break it down for you.
we'll break it down. We want to make it as easy for you as possible. So then our digital edition survey is, we offer our digital edition surveys targeted at our customers looking to specifically target our digital edition publications between the beverage group and power sport group. So again, our client database, similar to email and websites, we can offer advertisement link for customers on our digital editions or specifically pinpoint readers to our publications. Again, the geo-targeting is available for that. So it could be one or two questions related to an ad or product in the digital edition. Again, it's based on what our customer or client wants. This one, though, we were looking at as you target your response rate, the number of responses. So the more people you target, your response rate will go down usually. But again, we'll go through that in more details.
Percentage-wise, but you could.
You can get more respondents, obviously, if you target more people.
Percentage-wise,
But the percentage.
So the narrower you are, the better your response rate will be. The more targeted you are, your response rate generally increases.
And geo-targeting, as we mentioned before, is available for our digital edition surveys as well. All right, going into one that Mary Beth and I are very familiar with is our syndicated services, and these are in-person audits. But syndicated is we do them on a quarterly basis, and we go to the same stores or bars and restaurants to really see how our brands or our clients' products are being impacted on a consistent basis. So we've been doing this for 35 years.
And one of the questions that came up during the survey, well, that's great, Mary Beth, that you and your team have been doing this for the beverage industry, but how do I know that that person is going to be able to do a similar type of survey in a dealership or a motorcycle dealership? And the answer to that is the contracted folks that I use around the country do all different types of surveys. And what we have done in the past is we have to qualify. So obviously you can't have someone, I don't know, like me, go into a motorcycle dealership and talk about gearboxes or whatever. So you would have a list of qualifying questions to make sure that the person could indeed conduct the survey. We do similar things in beverage to make sure, although my team I've been working with for quite some time now. And we would be responsible for the training, and you would be involved with that with direction from your client. So it is transferable. It's not just a beverage team. It is a team that can conduct surveys, in-store surveys, or covert mystery shops,
Right.
or engagements in other brands.
And there would be an element of training involved too before they actually go out and do a survey. We would train them on what to look for, what to,
Absolutely.
what to ask. Obviously,
And
there's
depending on the scope of the study, there's a training manual. that goes with the study.
of course. So the syndicated surveys we've been doing in beverage, and we have some examples that we can go through, are on and off premise audits. We, again, as a third party, unbiased information provider, we've been well regarded in the industry for again 35 years. Among small and large suppliers, we've been doing this for the smallest of suppliers, William Brand, to the biggest suppliers within
Absolutely.
Diageo and Bacardi. And I know we could span that and cross over into power sports and the retail. So again, these are all conducted by professional, trained field auditors who are contracted by us. Again, we have the scope and the capabilities of doing this, not only beverage, but across into the power sport and horticultural. They're trained and programmed, is handled by our director of client services and has over 20 years of field collection experience. So we have
Child prodigy.
what we've been doing in beverage, and this is all in the training manual, is really we've been doing display merchandising, which is how the products look, visual inspections of how they look on the shelves versus the competitive set. And again, pricing varies depending on our clients' needs. Not only do they want to see what their products are looking like in the marketplace, but maybe they want to see what their competitors' products are looking like in the marketplace, whether it's facings of bottles on a shelf, where it's stocked on the shelf, eye level, bottom, and then we give them a full report, again, unbiased. We also do pricing surveys where we find out what their pricing is, so we can give them a snapshot of what their average price is across the country, but also bring it down to the local market. And then we can also find out what their competitors' prices are, because obviously in the beverage industry, you always want to know what your competition is doing, whether it's promotional price, standard retail pricing. And then we also look at off-premise shelf stocking that we do. And again, with these syndicated surveys, we go into about 1,000 accounts across 25 metro markets. But as we mentioned before, this is something that can scale and be presented on the other side as well. And then we do these March, June, December, September, and December. Excuse me. And then next is our on-premise, which we've done in the past, that we execute each year in October, which was in 1,000 outlets in 21 key on-premise metro markets. And it scopes the different types of premises, whether it be hotel, chain accounts, bars and taverns, fine dining, exactly. And those metrics include stocking availability, the location, where it's in the premise, whether it's behind the bar, in the well, in the speed rack, featured on the drink menu. I mean, again, this is valuable information that our clients are looking for, and it's something that they want to make sure how their brand is being represented in the marketplace. And that's the one key thing about surveys is collecting the data that our customers are looking for. And all of our syndicated services allow for customization and proprietary observations where we could ask specific questions. Again, it all depends on how much our customers are willing to spend. And then we get into our custom audit, which is again in person, but these are mystery shops, which could be conducted either covertly or overtly.
Covert and overt.
Covert and overt.
Depending on what your client wants.
And this is a tool used externally by market research companies or internally by companies looking to really measure the quality of service or compliance with a regulation, as Mary Beth mentioned before. One of the examples that we talk about is the Gosling's Black Seal Rum. They own the trademark to the Dark and Stormy brand, and we did a survey to make sure that compliance is really trademark protection is being, it's happening out there in the marketplace, and that their products, if the term Dark and Stormy is being used on a drink menu, their product is the one that's being used in it, and that it's being compliant. So the benefits of Mystery Shop, it really monitors and measures service performance. Is that a question?
Tim.
Okay. In terms of revenue, what is the largest mystery shop that either of you have completed?
Excellent question. Well, we did do an ongoing survey with Diageo. It was called War on Visibility, and we were tracking a couple of hundred brands. And that contract, I believe, was worth a year annually. Andrew, you could type in the exact amount, but I want to say 800,000. So that was a pretty big study. So that's the grandest that comes to mind for me. But that was an ongoing.
Mhm.
The other, so that was 4 quarters. The other studies that we have done, the study for Castle Brands, the Gosling studies, I think that was only about $20,000. So you could see there's a big range. $800,000 a year contracts don't come around every day, but we certainly look for them.
Absolutely.
Thanks,
So
Tim, for that
hopefully,
question.
hopefully that, I mean, again, it will vary. Again, everything's going to vary depending on what the client wants, what kind of, how many questions they want, how much time is being spent in each outlet that's being audited, if you will. But going back to the benefits of the mystery shop, you can monitor the facility's conditions. Again, this can scale over onto the power sports. I mean, hopefully if we can, get up and running some customs, we can actually turn that into a syndicated over time. So it also monitors and measures the product, service, delivery, and quality. Supports promotional programs. If a client has a promotion that they're spending on a national, and they're advertising on a national basis, and they have their wholesalers out there presenting it, we can go in as a third-party, unbiased provider and let them know really what's happening in the marketplace, and if their promotion is being executed at the local level. Again, it's all about delivering market knowledge to our customers. It allows for the mystery shops allow for competitive analysis. Again, what's the competition doing? It also identifies training needs and some sales opportunities. We were talking before about the luxury cognac example. I don't know, did you mention that?
I didn't, but that's all
Okay.
right. That's
Sorry,
a great
that was
example.
another example that we've talked about in the past was we've had a client asked us to do that was the phone survey that you did.
The phone survey was the brand ambassador, but there was
Brand-
another survey, an in-person survey for Louis the 14th cognac. Sorry, 13th cognac, which retails for about $4,000 a bottle. Luxury product. Our very French clients wanted us to go in and to look to see. We had a script. For example, I went into stores and I worked for a law firm, and the partners were bringing on a new partner. So they wanted a luxury gift. And I would start very open-ended. What do you recommend? And inevitably I'd be led to wine. And I was like, no, it's something a little more special. And then hopefully, and in many cases they did, they would bring me to Louis and did not give me a taste. But then I would go on with a bunch of other qualifying questions to see if the training, the very expensive training they were doing, was paying off. So that's an example of a very targeted custom study with a certain type of auditor. We couldn't just send anybody in, and the script needed to match the auditor. So that.
Okay.
Sorry to
No, that's
go on.
no. That's
Yeah.
exactly. But the brand ambassador one as well could,
That was the phone survey.
the phone survey. Again, a lot of these companies, at least in the beverage world, spend a lot of money not only in personnel but in training and everything that they do with having brand ambassadors in the marketplace. Training customers, selling their products in there, and making sure that their products are front and center. So they invest a lot of money in these brand ambassadors, and we've done programs where we kind of go out and inspect what's being expected out there, or checks and balances, if you will. And it identifies training needs and sales opportunities, and it also it encourages employee integrity and knowledge, because you can go out there and make sure that what's being what's being expected out there is actually happening in the marketplace. And
So some words that you might look for sales wise. I wish I knew, or I wish I could find out
Mhm.
if my training program is being implemented,
Mhm.
or if it's having effectiveness.
Absolutely. Or again, what is my average drink price for X cocktail being served in out there? Again, everything might be varied, but we have the ability to cover a much bigger ground than some of these companies might have the access to. So we can deliver that all and bring value and knowledge to them. And it also improves customer retention by identifying either staff or customer interaction for areas of improvement. Hopefully, thus ensuring a positive customer relationship. At the front line, which all these companies really want to know. Again, the ones for mystery shoppers are really what's going on out there at the front line, if you will. So, the training manual also goes in more in depth into the elements of the mystery shop. First and foremost, we always need to consider what the client is looking for. What are the questions? What are we looking for? What are we trying to answer for them? So from there, as we mentioned before, is it overt or covert? Which is to say, are we going in there identifying ourselves on behalf of the client, or are we really just going in there flying under the radar and just observing what's going on, asking questions, but not identifying who we're with? Who is the audience? Again, will we determine which accounts we're going into, or is the client going to let us know?
We have the ability to do both.
Yeah, all this is obviously determined in pre-survey stages where we sit down and go through what are the wants and needs of our client. Number of observations or questions. Again, in my experience, and I'm sure Mary Beth will agree, you only get a handful of time with a certain customer, so you want to make sure you're quick to the point, but also obviously get as much information from them as possible. Some mystery shop questions or examples. What can you tell me about this product or XYZ product from our client? And some selling points could be provided by the client as well to hopefully spur a conversation and collect more data. The time frame is there's again everything pre-survey is going to be determined between client services on either end and the customer before anybody actually goes out there and observes and audits. Custom programs are different from syndicated, as the information that we collect is proprietary to those customers. The one thing that we've been doing in beverage over the years for syndicated is we have historical information that, because it's proprietary to us, we can package that and give historical pricing surveys over the years as far as different price points for different brands. That again is valuable information to these customers. So that's the custom are proprietary. I mean, they've asked for it, they own it. Metrics are similarly prescribed by the client that will help to mine the information. Again, that's really digging up and getting what they want. And again, this is more specific to the beverage information group. But as we hopefully move these over to the power sports, so we'll closely work with the client when designing a custom program to make sure that data is collected efficiently, cost effectively, and most important, we want to provide relevant, actionable information to them. Because at the end of the day, the surveys really deliver the knowledge and information to them. So then we go through some examples, between either what we talked about before, trademark protection with the Gosling's Black Seal Rum. We've done some merchandising compliance programs in the past with, in beverage, it's been with a control state liquor board who wanted to recognize compliance and mandated brand standards or brand displays throughout their state stores. And then we've done some drink programs as well, as far as some examples. And for time, I'm not going to go through all the details, but when we go through all the sessions of the training with everybody here, we'll go through them in some more details. And then we could also do some, instead of custom audits as far as merchandise. We can do some custom services. Pricing is really depending on what is going to be audited out there, how much time spent, estimating the costs. Is that another question we came up with? Okay. So again, everything with custom, as with a lot of these surveys, the pricing is going to be determined based on the scope of the audience, the amount of time,
the study.
the scope of the study, exactly.
How many questions, how many outlets or customers contacted.
Mhm.
We'll work with you on the pricing.
Exactly. And then the last type of study is we have our internet and telephone surveys. So we offer both telephone and internet-based surveys. They can be executed using our client's customer list or provided by our audience as well. For either type of survey, we will work with them to design a survey that gets obviously to the heart of the information they need. Again, with all surveys, it's all about data collection and the ability to really find out what's happening in the local marketplace.
Yeah.
Let's see. Samples. We'll go through these in more detail when we go through the training sessions. And then, we've done some supplier satisfaction surveys with regards to telephone surveys as well.
Which would translate over, I think, to dealerships.
Absolutely. So now we're going to open it up. Some questions are coming through. Sarah has a couple of them. Your presentation has included a lot of beverage examples.
Just read it out loud.
Okay.
Please.
Your presentation has included a lot of beverage examples. You are really saying that anything is really the limit within surveys from beverage to every other brand. Correct. Yes. Will the training guide include examples outside the beverage side?
Where available, it will. And
Yes.
as we grow and sell surveys, we'll definitely include them.
And will training guide include examples I said, because the sky's the limit when it comes to ideas? Absolutely. And how do you envision this being executed on the other industries? Okay, one thing that we talked about, I think Mary Beth mentioned it before, is a helmet company. Want to know, is there promotion being executed at the dealership level? We can do a custom program for that company to find out, is their helmet being merchandised and priced properly according to their suggested retail pricing or their brand specifications.
Mm-hmm.
Or a glove manufacturer might want to know where his glove is being stocked on the rack, and is it next to XYZ competitive brand who might be the market leader, and is it priced accordingly? Does he have a price advantage on it? So again, this is information that we can go out and physically collect for him, or we could do it through any other aspects, whether it's a web-based internet telephone survey or online survey as well. Again, it's all about what are the questions that these customers want to ask, and again, we have the audience for it.
So also, Sarah, some of the examples at the beginning of the presentation, they were examples from dealerships, as far as the survey, the ARI survey that Peggy conducted. And when we do our individual training sessions, we'll try to have examples. At the start of the presentation, or actually the start of the survey task force, what we realized is everybody was doing surveys in some form, whether it was to get content or the base of our business here at research, insights and information is surveys. Really, we call them track services, but what it is visual surveys. So that's what we're hoping to do. We're hoping to get the other brands to start thinking about how they can utilize these different products. Certainly, I know here on the beverage side, we're trying to figure out how we can market and use our list for our online surveys. I mean, we've used it for content, but how do we sell that to our clients? When Vincent's working with his sales team, how do we sell those online surveys along with selling the surveys, the mystery shops and the custom mystery shops and the engagements? Traditionally, it's been Andrew and myself working on them. We're still available to work on them as support, but we're hoping that the different brand teams go out and start listening for the questions. And I think really that's what the sales training is going to be about,
Absolutely.
is working with you on a brand level rather than I'm trying to figure out what works for snowmobiles. The example I use for motorcycles was gearbox. I don't even know if that's the thing. but you have the brand knowledge. We have the ability to help your clients. I hope that
Absolutely.
answers your question.
Yeah, there was a couple other that are surveys subject to copyright provisions.
I don't
I'm
know.
aware.
So the way it works, when we do a syndicated survey, we collect information and the clients know that we will be sharing this information with whoever buys the brand. It's a syndicated survey. We're simply going in, observing, and we sell the brands. Now, when we do a custom survey for a client, like the example I gave with Gosling's rum, they own that information. They own the results. It's proprietary. I can't share the results with anybody else. That's it. They purchased it. They own it. I hope that answers the question.
Yeah, again, custom studies are proprietary to them, so I don't think it would any impede on any copyright provisions because we don't own the data. But the one thing that that we want to stress upon is when we go out and pitch these to our customer bases, we're providing a valuable service and commodity to them because data is very important again for them to help their bottom line in their business needs to find out what's really happening in the marketplace. There were a couple other questions. How do surveys being used within consumer publications? Have we used some of our survey data as far as putting it into any editorials or anything? Is that what the question is?
The way on the beverage side, the survey I did with the bartenders is actually an integral part of our book, of our handbook. So we publish these handbooks, once a year, and we have a number of clients buying them. So yes, so that would be a consumer product, I guess. Maybe. So Dodie has a question.
That's David. Maybe I missed this, but when you do an on-site survey, is there an average cost per brick and mortar store? Yes, there is.
For example, for an on-site survey, generally a custom survey, we're going to charge and anything on the other brands, we don't have anything syndicated, so it will be custom. We're going to charge a program development fee, depending on the scope of what the survey is. That's anywhere from $1,000 to $5,000 to set the program fee up, depending on how complicated it is. And then we look at how long we're going to be in store, how long it's going to take, how spread out the stores are, taking account to mileage, and we'll come up with a price for you. So I have done, to answer your question more succinctly, I have done studies that were as inexpensive as $22 an outlet. They were the outlets we were visiting were in a small geographic space. We didn't have to go around that much. Quick questions, very quick visit. It was very different from a study like the Diageo study I mentioned before that we were doing on a quarterly basis, where we were tracking, whatever it was, 180 brands, and the time in store was anywhere from an hour and a half to 2 hours. So I hope that answers your question. Basically, it's a wide range. A good rule of thumb is the less observations we're doing, because again, I want to stress it's a survey, a visual survey. The less observations we're doing, the less expensive it's going to be. The more observations we're doing, the more complicated it is, the more time it's going to take, and then it's going to be more expensive.
But at the end of the day, when we first brought this task force together, one of the things that I stressed and I think everybody agreed upon was that this is a tremendous opportunity to really create another revenue stream for EPG as a whole. Even though we've been doing this across beverage and power sports on a small extent, the opportunity to really create all the different types of surveys and bring it to everybody and offer them to all our clients and hopefully generate more revenue for us and profitability is obviously the bottom line for us. But what we're doing for our current customer base and the opportunities for some of those non-endemic is really delivering value to them as well. And that's where these surveys come in.
I think there's another question for David.
There is, okay. Oh, this was, how do you see surveys being used with customer publications was her first question. So the follow-up is what I mean is publications where consumers are enthusiasts, not traders specifically. I'm not, okay. Specifically, I'm asking about a publication like Thunder Press. So with that, again, depending on the survey, we can either conduct our own survey and use that as far as data within.
Well, I mean, when you say
That's
survey, if we're talking online survey, obviously we have this list of subscribers that are Thunder Press that, I would think if I was a person who sold motorcycle jackets, because that's probably the only thing I could talk about with any, some really nice moto jackets. So maybe I would want to send a survey out, what are you looking for? Is it, whatever, Kevlar in the jacket that protects you, or is it more a fashion thing? Like, what is your next purchase going to be based on? That would be the type of thing, and this type of question would be what we want to explore in the individual training. Because not being a motorcycle person or on Thunder Press, I can't really answer that for you, but I do know that we have a great audience available. And I would think anyone that was selling to anybody in that space would want to have access. And as far as the stores, maybe it's something, for the Harley Davidson stores, the merchandising is my new moto boot being displayed, prominently. Is it stocked? Is it available? So those might be questions. But I do see when the training sessions are going on, I think when we talk about the different brands, we would have to use your knowledge of the industry, your vast knowledge of the industry, right, and then how might it be promoted to your clients?
Yeah, and I'm not sure, but it seems like you're asking as far as surveys for consumer publications. I think within our database, we could put surveys out there and use that as content in future magazines.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
I don't know if we could. If we have clients who are looking for specific information, I don't know if that, the data we collect, if it would be proprietary to them, or if it's stuff that we could actually use as, again, content in future publications. That I'm not sure about as far as copyright provisions. I don't know if that goes back to
a general survey we can.
A general survey we can?
Yeah, okay. That's what we did. Yeah. I hope that answers your question.
Yeah, well, that's a general survey that we didn't, that no one paid us to do, though. So, but,
right.
Yeah, but it provided us content, absolutely.
This is true.
Great
other questions.
Yeah, very good questions.
It's like everybody's pretty psyched up about surveys, right?
Yeah, survey says, right?
Time for a drink.
Yeah.
See if anything else is coming through. Again, to the survey task force, to all of you, thank you.
Yes, thank you.
It was so really just very fortuitous for me to work with all of you. I really enjoyed it. I know that it was challenging going into the really busy part of people's years, and scheduling got to be madness, but I think we brought it all together. So I appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you, everybody.
Bernadette has something.
I think she's closing it up with a great job, team. Yeah.
She's like, goodbye. Everybody, goodbye. Thank you.
Everybody.
Sell those surveys, and we'll talk to you soon. Bye now.
Oops,
You just hit end stream.